It's the ultimate capitalist finish line, a sun-drenched estate, a sprawling manor, and acres of vines turning grapes into liquid gold. For a billionaire, buying a winery feels like buying a crown. But ask anyone who actually runs one, and they'll repeat the oldest joke in the industry. If you want to make a small fortune in the wine business, you have to start with a large one. Behind the luxury aesthetic and the romantic tasting room tours, the math is brutal. The underlying business model is an efficient machine for incinerating capital. That's because a winery is actually three entirely different, highly volatile industries: farming, manufacturing, and logistics, stacked on top of one another. To see why an industry selling a high-margin luxury product consistently bleeds cash, we have to follow a single bottle of wine through this three-stage economic gauntlet. Phase 1 is farming. If a tech company wants to scale, it buys more server space in a climate-controlled room. A winery's primary asset, however, is entirely exposed to the outside elements. Millions of dollars in future revenue are tied directly to day-to-day weather patterns. You need the exact right amount of rain, the exact right amount of sun, and zero extreme shifts. A single unseasonal spring frost can physically freeze the buds right on the vine. Just like that, an entire year's harvest is wiped out before it even begins. Even if the local weather holds, modern environmental risks can still ruin you. A distant wildfire miles away can blanket an entire valley in smoke. The grapes absorb it, permanently tainting the flavor and rendering the entire crop useless. Before a single grape even makes it to the press, the winery has to survive a game of agricultural roulette, where one bad weekend can completely erase a year of product. Let's say the harvest survives. Now we enter phase 2, manufacturing. And immediately, the winery hits a severe structural liquidity crisis. This cash flow chart illustrates the problem. At year 0, the operation goes deep in the red. You have to pay harvest labor, buy heavy equipment, and expensive oak barrels. But unlike a factory that ships widgets the next day, a premium winery is caught in an inventory aging trap. The product has to sit in barrels and then in bottles for 3 to 5 years, creating a multi-year flatline with absolutely zero revenue coming in. To survive this stage, you need millions in reserve capital just to keep the lights on and pay your staff while you wait. It is a grueling holding pattern that quickly starves cash-poor operations. Finally, the waiting is over. The wine is aged, bottled, and ready to actually make money. Welcome to phase 3, logistics. But right as you reach the finish line, you hit a regulatory brick wall. It's an archaic distribution law dating back to the end of Prohibition, known as the 3-tier system. In most cases, the producer of the wine is legally barred from selling it directly to a retailer or a consumer. Instead, they are forced into a mandated middleman structure. The winery, Tier 1, has to sell its product to a regional distributor in Tier 2, who then sells it to a retailer in Tier 3. This system obliterates margins. The mandated distributor takes a massive cut out of the winery's wholesale price, often up to 30%, just for moving the boxes. Then, the retailer applies their own significant markup. By the time the bottle reaches the end of the chain, the profit bar is completely hollowed out. The entire framework is mathematically designed to enrich middlemen. The people who actually grew the grapes, bought the barrels, and waited 5 years are left fighting for pennies on the dollar at the retail endpoint. So the product has to survive agricultural roulette in the dirt, a half-decade capital freeze in the cellar, and an archaic legal maze on the shelf. Which brings us back to our billionaire. If the economics are this toxic, why do the world's most successful business minds continually throw their money at it? Because owning a winery rarely stems from a rational business calculation. It is an expensive, high-stakes passion project. It's an exercise in legacy and ego, subsidized by fortunes made somewhere else. So the next time you uncork a bottle, realize you aren't paying for fermented grape juice. You're paying for a product that miraculously survived a financial machine designed to destroy it.